Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Dami and I'm an architect in beautiful Vancouver, BC. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you the system that I use to organize my life and keep a fairly stress-free existence. This video is sponsored by HelloFresh. Stay till the end of the video to see how you can get some free, delicious meals. I work full-time as an architect, and just about 2 years ago, I started this YouTube channel, which has turned into an almost full-time job. In order to keep myself organized and sane, I've had to adopt a pretty efficient workflow. I use a combination of SUNSAMA and Google Calendar, and I'll give you guys a general overview of how I use them, but I'll also talk about my personal philosophy on productivity that hopefully you can apply into your own system, whatever that is. You can find the links to the apps and also some reading references that's really helped me define my philosophy on productivity down in the description. So there's two really important ideas that kind of set the foundation for how I organize my time. And I guess you could call them my work philosophy. So the first idea is I try to give priority to deep work, and I try to build this into my routine as a non-negotiable, because I realize that if I don't do this, it never really happens. I talk about the idea of deep work in my book review. I'll leave it right here. But in essence, deep work is work that requires quite a bit of focus and is typically like 2 or 3 hours long. And then the second idea, it's doing things in a flow state. So first of all, I do this by making sure that everything that I need to do and want to do and all the ideas that I have is captured on a system that I trust. And by doing this, I can make sure that I'm not thinking about another idea or a task that I have to do when I'm already doing something. Secondly, I try to minimize switch between different types of tasks. I try to group similar tasks together as much as possible. I'll show you how these ideas kind of actually manifest in my schedule a little bit later on. So like I said, my deep work sessions are just built into my routine. And these are things that I don't even really have to think about doing. They're just a fact of life for me. So you can see this in my calendar. Everything that's a routine is in yellow. And yeah, that's things like my deep work sessions, my daily review or gym, and my calendar syncs directly into SUNSAMA, which is kind of my home for everything. Another side to setting up your routines is kind of understanding your peak times. We only have 5 hours in a day when we can concentrate really hard. So we really need to use this time wisely. So for me, that's right in the mornings. It's also when I have the least amount of distractions, but yours might be different. If you don't know when your peak times are, I would just start off by tracking your days over a period of like 2 or 3 weeks. Just try to get a sense of when you're the most productive. So these routines kind of set the foundation for my weekly schedule. And it also helps me not have to spend so much time actually like planning these things. When it comes to actually scheduling my weeks, I dedicate about an hour every Sunday just to roughly planning out my week. And you can see that that's also scheduled in my calendar. And so first of all, I try to set like 3 goals for the week in the objectives tab. If I finish these 3 things, I can go out for a beer on Friday and just feel accomplished. I also have it in my calendar to check in every day to see if I'm on track. These little planning sessions on Sunday and throughout the week is also when I do what I call a brain dump. Our brains are great at many things, but it's not so great at remembering things or keeping track of things. Or at least mine isn't. And so if I don't put it down somewhere, I'm gonna be constantly worried that I'm forgetting something. It's really taking up the limited brain power that I have. So every Sunday, I try to dump everything that's on my mind. That alone just gives me a peace of mind. Then throughout the week, like whenever something pops into my head, I put it down in the same place. I use a combination of SUNSAMA and ClickUp, but it can be anything. It can be a notebook or an app, but just make sure that it's something that you actually like using, because you will have to refer back to it regularly if you want it to work. After I do my brain dump on my Sunday planning sessions, I move into the processing stage. Sometimes when you're just dumping ideas from your brain and you're just like trying to capture your thoughts, they're not totally fleshed out into actionable tasks. So I dedicate time during my Sunday planning sessions or at the end of each day to just like quickly process them into concrete, actionable tasks. And then actually schedule them into my calendar. If there's anything that's urgent and, if there's anything that can be done in less than 2 minutes, I just do it without actually scheduling it into my calendar. That way you can just kind of move on and knock these down pretty quickly. You can actually put in an estimated time for each task as well, so you can pretty quickly see if your workload is realistic or not. It integrates with your calendar. So for example, my morning deep work sessions, you can see that it's blocked out. You can also link your Gmail to this and turn them into tasks. Sometimes you have an email where you need to respond with like a little bit more information. For example, if you're putting together like a fee proposal, it's gonna take you a little bit more time to work through that. Yeah, just like schedule that email as a task here and drag and drop that into your day. I try to dedicate a chunk of time to just doing emails. This is what I mean by limiting context switching. Like I try to chunk similar tasks in one chunk of time. So if I were to make like 5 phone calls, unless they're like super, super urgent, I try to chunk them all together in one part of my day. Email especially is one of those super dangerous time suckers. So I found that setting aside time for them, it really helps. On days when I'm more precise about what I'm gonna do and when I'm gonna do it, I have a way more realistic expectation of my day, and it actually helps me feel more satisfied at the end of the day. And having a roadmap really helps me get more things done. Reviewing your system regularly is the only way to make improvements, because it's going to give you a clear picture of how you're spending your time and what's working and what's not. If you're feeling too tired every single day, this is typically a good place for you to go and, see where your time is being spent and what you can adjust moving forward. For me, because my life is divided into very distinct segments, like my job, my YouTube, my personal life, it's really important and also interesting for me to see how many hours I'm spending in each category. And you can do that by going to your weekly review tab, which spits out this beautiful graph, and you can also turn on and off different categories. But maintaining this can be really time consuming, and it is really easy to skip this step. But SUNSAMA actually has a weekly and daily review prompt, so I found that really helpful. But if you're using a different system that doesn't have this prompt, I would just schedule it in my calendar, because this step is quite important. As you're doing your review, if there's anything that wasn't completed, you can move them into different days by just doing drag and drop, or you can archive them if you don't need to do it this week. What's nice about this is it kind of creates these automatic daily reports, so you can share them with other people if you work in a team. Personally, I just started doing this for myself, just so that I have a record of what I'm getting done throughout the week. And it also comes in handy when I'm doing a check-in with my team at the beginning of the week. The most important thing to seeing a tangible result is to make it a habit. I always try to keep SUNSAMA open on one of the windows so that I can constantly have access to it. Managing time is an actual skill and takes practice, so don't be too hard on yourself in the beginning. I think a really big part of this is just understanding how long things actually take and just being realistic about your expectations. And the other side is when you start to realize, okay, like I can only do this, this, and this, you naturally start to set priorities and just like dump things that don't really matter for you. SUNSAMA does have a feature that automatically puts tasks you haven't done in a while in a backlog or an archive, or you can put them manually in the archive folder as well. The end goal of all of this is to have more free time so that you can enjoy your life and have fun. So make sure that you're not just doing and doing and doing and that you're actually reflecting on what you're doing. And also remember to schedule in your leisure time as a routine, because that can also be very hard to keep up. SUNSAMA lets you set a time limit for each day, and it's gonna give you an alert if you have an unrealistic workload. And I have gotten this notification more than a few times. Productivity equals output over input. This means you could increase your output to increase productivity, but you can also decrease input by having a system that does things for you. This is a system that I've developed over the years, but it is still evolving. I hope it was helpful for you in some way. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want me to do more of a deep dive into the different functions on SUNSAMA. There's a free trial link in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. By the way, I have a lot of cool videos about creativity and architecture, like the one where I talk about slow reading and how it can change your brain. Click here if you want to see more. And don't forget to gently click your mouse on the bell, like, and subscribe button. I also have a monthly newsletter if you want to keep up to date on some of the different things that are happening on the channel. Before we end, I want to share a quick message from our sponsor. So I've been trying not to eat out as much because it gets really expensive and it's bad for your health because you don't really know what they're putting in your food. But when you're working full-time while running a YouTube channel, the amount of time that I can dedicate to culinary explorations has been reduced to this. HelloFresh provides step-by-step recipes that are super easy to follow with fresh, pre-portioned ingredients to help you reduce prep time. Every week, I can choose my meals from a collection of delicious and well-curated recipes. The recipes feature ingredients that go from the farm to your front door in under a week, which means their spring menu features the season's freshest flavors. You can choose veggie, pescatarian, or fit and wholesome meals to make it easy for you to stick to your goals. HelloFresh is also really sensitive about the environment. Their meal kit cuts down on your food waste by at least 25% compared to grocery shopping. And in fact, HelloFresh is the first carbon neutral meal kit company, and almost all their packaging is recyclable. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code DAMILEE16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video.